The more I study art, the more I work towards my goal, the more I realized just how much skill and knowledge and actual craft there is in art that I simply had no idea about before I started learning it. And I think this idea of the self-taught artist is actually very damaging to artists, and whether self-taught or studying art in one way or another, because this comes from a belief that art, visual art and drawing is mostly talent, mostly something that you figure out by yourself, and that studying is just like the cherry on the cake, when in reality it's completely the opposite. If you are currently trying to improve on your art skills and you struggle, this implies that you are the problem, that you somehow should figure it out by yourself or be able to figure it out, where in reality this is going to sound mean and I don't want it to, but I'm going to say it anyway. In reality, you can't. Maybe there is one genius every 500 years who could, from one picture, be able to figure out perspective and anatomy and composition and everything that took thousands of years in art history to be figured out by thousands of artists. And yeah, maybe there is one guy every 500 years or a woman every 500 years who could figure it out by themselves. Okay, sure. I am not that person. I'm not a genius as much as I would like to be a genius. I'm not. And even for that person, for that absolute art genius, having some kind of education would have saved them a lot of time and thinking and energy. Before I go any further, there is just one thing that I think I need to clarify. Usually people say they are self-taught when they are not going to a physical school, like they don't have a teacher or a class in reality to give them a skill, but they may be getting an education elsewhere, maybe from books, from videos, from websites. In this video, this is something that I will say is not self-taught, because you're actually getting some kind of education from somewhere. What would be self-taught would be actually figuring it out by yourself, and it's also problematic because it implies that visual arts are somehow different from a lot of other crafts and careers and even arts, and that the skills implied in drawing are somehow not as real and serious as other ones, when in reality drawing is very difficult. I'm saying this because the more I learn about it, the more I realize how difficult this is and how complex it is for an adult to learn about drawing. I think it's partly because of our school system in France. We don't get taught any drawing skills, and drawing is actually like writing. It's like language. It is actually a language. It has codes, and it's just as difficult to figure it out from an image as it would be to figure out the alphabet from a book if you haven't been taught how to read. So drawing is very difficult, and a proof of the difficulty of drawing is just look anywhere around you and see how many bad drawings there are and how many people are actually struggling with this. If you think that drawing is more easy than any kind of career that is taught in an actual school with an actual method, try to figure it out by yourself and see that you probably can't, or maybe you can, and then you're a genius and congratulations on you, but most people are not, and I am not again. So that's why in this channel I do not say that I am a self-taught artist. I am not going to art school. I am studying pretty much on my own, like I am physically alone in the room that you see right now. But I actually have in my life all of the elements of an art school and all of the elements that I think are important to an art education. That means I have a method, there is a structured curriculum that I'm following. I am studying with New Masters Academy personally. So yeah, I have an education that has been designed and that is given to me by very, very skilled teachers. I have teachers, and I don't want to say that I'm self-taught because this wouldn't be grateful to my teachers, and I am extremely grateful. I am learning from Steve Houston, I am learning from Glenn Villepou, I am learning from Bill Perkins and a lot of people, and if I said that I am self-taught, it wouldn't be nice, it wouldn't be, I think, respectful for those people who made the videos that allowed me to get those skills. I also have feedback on my work, and I even have a community. It's all online, but I have it all, and so I am not self-taught in any way. Besides all of this, I was just about to say I teach myself. I get lessons from books, I get lessons from drawings that I see sometimes, I get lessons from YouTube, and every one of those things is a teacher to me. I have a lot of teachers. I am not self-taught at all, but I am active in my education more than I would be if I was in an art school. And I think this is actually better, whatever you're learning, to decide yourself to do it and why you want to do it. And this just gives you a kind of drive and motivation and clarity about what it is you're learning that you often don't get, from my experience at least, but this may be different for you, that you often don't get in a traditional education. So if you are right now in a situation where you want to study art, you want to become an artist, you want to improve your artistic skills and learn this visual communication that animators are so good at and that old masters were good at, and you don't want to go to an art school, or you can't go to an art school for whatever reason, you are in a position where you can choose your education, and I think this is a very powerful one and a very positive one for you. But there is also a little bit of danger to this, especially if you're young, and especially if you don't have any experienced artists around you that you can trust to guide you a little bit. So I think you should watch out for a couple of things. As I said, you need 3 things. You need an education, some kind of class. You need some kind of feedback to improve a lot faster and to know what skills to target and what are your strengths and weaknesses. And you probably also need a community. The community you can probably find from social media with its ups and downs. The feedback is probably the most difficult to access, and the education, the actual material that you will be consuming to learn art and to build up your artistic skills, is where there is a little bit of danger, because the internet is amazing and you get access to everything, every kind of knowledge you want you can probably find. But if you are completely new, it is easy to find the wrong kind of knowledge. And online you can find a lot of advice and a lot of even teaching that could potentially throw you in a wrong direction, and a wrong direction could be spending a lot of time on something that isn't what you actually need, or putting you in a mindset where you would blame yourself for not progressing, when in reality you haven't been given the piece of information that you need to grow. And this is why the feedback part is very important. But when you choose your education, you really want to make sure that this comes from someone you trust. So whether it's a book, a video, a YouTube channel, or a website that you decide to invest in, you must really trust it. So always research your teachers. Even if you are in a normal art school or any kind of school, always research your teachers and see how serious you think they are. Do they produce the kind of thing that you want to produce? Or if they don't, maybe it's just about style, do they produce something that you find solid, and do they have credentials? Try to research as much as you can, ask questions to other people who have been studying from them, and try to see what other students of that person managed to do, and make sure that you're getting your information from a trustworthy source for you, for the kind of art that you want to make. This is important because you don't want to get wrong information, and because having a trust in your teacher is, I think, fundamental in order to learn properly. For me, this is something that always takes a little time. Each time I start a new class, with a new teacher, I need a couple lessons before I trust them completely and I stop questioning everything they are saying to me. Like, oh, he says I should draw this way, but he's he right? Don't I want to draw it this way? And you have to accept the mindset and accept the method that is given to you and trust it in order to take the most out of it. Questioning is always good, but there has to be some trust. And the person who is teaching you art, no matter what form this teaching takes, has to earn that trust from you. Don't try to teach yourself. This is too difficult. There is no point. There is just no point in trying to do it all by yourself and trying to reinvent the wheel when there are actual methods that would speed your progress more than you can imagine. You can get your knowledge from a lot of sources, and I don't know all the teachers and all the websites in the world, so I don't want to recommend one too much. But for me, I decided to learn with New Masters Academy, and this is where I found resources and teachers and a community that I can trust, and where I found all of the skill I want to learn in one platform. So if you're interested in art learning, I highly recommend that you check out my video about New Masters Academy. I will leave a link to it if you want to check it out. Thank you for watching this one. Stay creative, and I will see you in the next one.